All right, the Monday show. I'm live now. I thought I was live. I just had like a whole freaking conversation with you guys about how the players in my group have one of them has decided she wants to keep a baby carnivorous ape, and they're dragging it all over the area they're trying to clear out of monsters, and it's screaming its freaking head off at the top of its lungs, which means it's attracting other monsters, right? So I increased the frequency and everything of like, hey, how you doing, Coochie? I increased the frequency of wandering monsters by a lot, and I increased the probability. So instead of like a 1 in 6, it was like a 3 in 6. And instead of like every however long, it was like every turn, every 10 minutes, right? And they were like, the players were not super thrilled by any of this. They were pretty upset. And I had to explain to them, look, you're running around, you've got this 40-pound ape screaming at the top of its freaking lungs, which is loud, and you're in a ruined part of the city full, just chock to the brim with monsters, right? That want nothing better than to just eat you. So I'm not sure whining to me is really the best idea we could come up with. Because, I mean, right? Let's be honest here. This is just the way it is. And so a lot of the players did decide that they were going to murder the ape, which of course pissed the woman with the ape off a little bit. And she started talking about if they murder her ape, she might leave the group. So yeah, we're in a little bit of a pickle with that. And so yeah, that's just kind of what's happening over here. That is what's happening. Some ape murdering, some wanting to kill apes, just the whole 9 yards, right? All because one lady really, really wants to have an ape as a pet. And I'm like, all right, I mean, knock yourself out. If that's what you want to do, I'm not going to stop her. I mean, if anybody's waiting for that to happen, they'll be waiting a long time. I'm not going to stop her. If she wants to drag this freaking ape all over everywhere with her, I'm going to let her do it because that's what you do as a DM. You let them do what they want to do, and then you let them deal with the consequences of whatever in the hell it is they want to do. And if they give you a hard time about it, then you explain to them in no uncertain terms exactly why the thing they're complaining about is happening, right? And that's what I had to do. I had to explain you are attracting shit tons of monsters because this little bastard of an ape is screaming its freaking lungs out. And so, I try to get them to imagine if you were a monster and you're kind of hanging out, doing a monster shit, and then you hear something just screaming nonstop, right? As a monster, regardless of what kind of monster you are, you're probably going to go have a look, right? Check it out, see if it's something you could eat, maybe. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I'm 100% thinking that. And if you're smart, well, then you're going to go try and check it out. And if possible, maybe get an ambush off on somebody because you heard the monster or you heard the ape. So you're like, oh, yeah, I hear that shit. Coming, gonna set up an ambush. We're gonna kill some people. And of course, the screaming carnivorous ape attracted a whole damn clan of subhumans. So think like Homo habilis type creatures, like 20 of them. And they start fighting with them because the Homo habilis, they wanted the ape too, but probably to eat it. And so they got in a big fight that went on for like quite a while. And hey, what's up, homie? Creeping on Rumble, yep. And so they're fighting with all these basically subhumans. And the whole time the ape's screaming its head off. And like I said, eventually one of them gets the smart idea and asks the witch to cast a sleep spell on the stupid ass ape. And it fails the save and it falls asleep. At which point, the wiser heads in the group are like, I think we should get out of here, right? Because it's about an hour. They have to travel about an hour to get back to a safe area, and so that's what they do. They just bail out and get back to town. And the young lady who insists on having the ape goes to the general store and buys a cage. And so then the tavern keeper's like, WTF, why are you carrying a cage up into, my tavern? So she just threw like a handful of gold coins at him. She's like, don't worry about it. And the tavern keeper, who really, think of him like Mr. Krabs, he likes money. And, or like the guy in Star Wars that owned the junkyard, it's like, your Jedi tricks will not work on me. I love money. So he took the money and she put the ape in a cage. And of course, as soon as it wakes up, it's going to just throw shit right at her. And why? Because it's an ape. That's what it's going to do. It's going to poop and it's going to pick the poop up and it's going to throw it at her head. And, the tavern keeper already told her he is not cleaning up a bunch of damn dirty ape poop. That's going to be her business to deal with. So I am, while we're talking, putting together these figures, these are for Baron's War. And these are the heavy knights. Have I seen Bone Tomahawk? Not only have I seen it, but I will rep it to anybody at any time. Bone Tomahawk is one of the best Lovecraftian westerns I've ever seen. The acting is amazing. The so-called troglodytes are amazing. I mean, yeah, it's just a great movie. I loved it. So I'm not going to pull a John Lovett Sunbone Tomahawk and be like, it stinks. For those of you who don't know, that's from his run of animated TV shows called The Critic, which I loved. I absolutely loved those shows. But then again, I think John Lovett's is hilarious. I can't help it, He is, in my opinion, one of the funniest dudes. I was like, but anyway, yes, Bone Tomahawk is a great movie. And what's funny about it is when I went into watching Tomahawk with the wife, I 100% had no idea what I was sitting down to watch. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh, okay, so these Indians have kidnapped some people and there's some shit going on. All right, let's check this out. And the next thing I know, it's cannibal Indians and all kinds of shit going on and people just dying left and right in like the most horrible, brutal ways possible, too. Like, whoever decided to make that movie, and I hear it's based on a book, they did not pull any punches with like the death scene. They were definitely like, oh yeah, we're gonna make them pay, and they did, man. It was bad. It was bad. Not just the Cowboys either. Like the way the bad guys died. Some of that was pretty brutal too, man. There was definitely, definitely a lot of brutality. Uh, I need to repaint these guys. They are far too dark. These are my old metal Blackguard of Nagaron. Got like 40 of these little bastards. And that is why lately I've been doing kit bashes using like Frostgrave miniatures, but with the Dark Elf bodies, right? And any kind of specifically Dark Elf iconography in there, I'll just go scrape off. But I think these guys are going to make amazing warriors devoted to Ares or Thaumagoraga and uh, um, Hyperborea. Like this one, I decided to make with the head is from Shield Wolf's Amazon or Shield Maidens. The arms with the punch daggers are from Frostgrave's female barbarian kit. And then the body, of course, is the elf. And I think that'll paint up really well. And then I've got this guy right here, another one. And this guy, again, it's just like a matter of putting a helmet and weapon swap on. So this guy could be a cleric of Thaumagoraga. He's got that two-handed mace. And in Hyperborea, man, a two-handed mace like that is like a 1 die 10 damage weapon. So yeah, you don't want to get smacked with one of those things. And I think it's a shield breaker too. So I'd have to look, but what that basically means is if you've got a non-enchanted shield, just a normal everyday shield, and he decides to attack your shield with that big ass weapon, there's a chance that he could shatter the shield, just freaking bust it right off your arm. So I've been doing a lot of this is a War Games Atlantic satyr body, but it's got a Frostgrave demon head, which just looks like a satyr or beastman, and then it's got a Victrix cloak. And it's obviously in one arm going to have a shield. So I'm going to put something, fairly terrifying in that arm. And then I'm going to find some kind of just, fearsome weapon to give it. Because today, I've been sitting here for a couple hours so far. I was on Shadow Show, like I said. So today has been a lot of just building some of the miniatures on the desk. Yes, that is Zargon right here. I got this from a company in Greece, and the shipping was a little expensive, but they got it to me quick. So there he is. I went with green because I wanted him to look kind of slimy and effed up and everything. I even painted his eyes and teeth and stuff, so which in the book, his claws are all black, right? And I did a hard coat on him and I left it alone because he's slimy. However, I really should go back to the hair on the back here and dull coat that. Hey, Timmy, you got game in a little while, buddy. But how you doing? How you doing? Um, that is one of the places my group may head after this. You went with Flesh Pink, awesome. They may end up on a ship in the middle of the Ouroboros River or Okeanos. I can actually look that up since I have my atlas here. So one place they may end up would be the River Okeanos, which is a river in the middle of an ocean. So think of it like the Gulf Stream, except it goes in a giant circle. Timmy has apparently joined the chat. Timmy and the Lords of the Underworld.
Hey,
I know. What's up, Timmy?
not much, but yeah, I do got a game in a few hours.
Yeah, I was just on stream with Bubba.
Oh yeah,
To all you player haters sucking on my Jimmy, and you still don't know what kind of blow to give me. We're the lords from the land of Nod, and we'll rock your body, and we're never gonna die. Anyway, yes, that was a song from South Park, Timmy and the Lords of the Underworld. Uh,
no, when I hear
a
nod, I think
very
of one
interesting
vision, one
chorus.
purpose.
Well, they had the other song too, where it was just like every now and then Timmy would just shout, Timmy,
Yeah,
living a lie, Timmy. But they had another song where Timmy's also in it. But anyway, I built a map room near to the big dungeon.
nice.
And this is something you might be interested in, even though it has taken me away from what I was talking about.
What's
I
that?
defeated what's her name.
Oh, you beat her? It's pretty hard. What I heard is most people like taking like a bunch of wolves or something in there to kill her.
Wolves.
Yeah,
No, I had a berserker and a Delencia, both armed with hammers,
yeah,
earth shakers, and both equipped in champion armor.
that
I
works too.
killed her, and both of my pets were at like maybe 20% health left when she finally died.
Yeah,
Um, and I had to stay away from her because obviously,
yeah. Like I
she can
said,
like
I
one
would say
shot
what
my
some
ass.
people like doing is bringing in a horde of enemies just so they distract her while they can pick at her at her distance.
Yeah. No, we just beat her to death. And you know what she
Yeah.
dropped?
What? Nothing.
43 armor scraps.
Oh well, that's not bad actually.
No, that's really good.
Yeah,
That's
it's
almost enough to make another set
of
of
armor.
champion armor.
Yeah,
So, so then I built a Zingaran palisade on the outside of the dungeon, but I believe I left it open and built a map room so that wherever you are, you can map to the obelisk right in front of the dungeon, right? And when you're done, you can run to the map room and map back to wherever the
wherever you
nearest
want.
obelisk to your house is. I
My
did that
house
just out of
is.
the kindness of my heart at great expense.
That is nice of you.
Yeah, it cost me, but I did it anyway. So anyway, yeah. So that's the thing. Oh, Coochie uploaded a miniature. I need to take some pictures of these damn miniatures I've been painting and
Yeah.
upload them. That's a thing. Coochie, Cow. I've got so many guys that are posting pictures of the miniatures they're making, and I've painted hundreds of miniatures that I've never even taken a picture of and posted. And I need to start doing that, at least with the really good ones, or maybe with the really weird ones too. Like now that I got a camera that will actually focus in and show miniatures when I hold it up.
Yeah, it looks a little bit better there.
Yeah, a lot better. So this is a Trench Crusade, uh, Trench Pilgrim nun, and the red is blood. because she's actually topless. If you look really close, you can actually see the nipples molded in. But I covered her in blood because that's a thing, right? Now, for those of you who like certain movies, this guy is not very well painted at all, but I'm going to show him to you. Timmy, do you know who that might be?
He looks familiar. I'm trying to remember. Was that one that one movie about the aliens that were disguised as humans?
No.
Oh,
Someone else will guess who that is, though.
because I remember that one thing where he put on the sunglasses and saw the. He kind of looked
Oh,
like
you're thinking They Live
yeah,
with
they live.
Roddy Piper. That is not him now.
Okay.
That is from one of the three amazing, I think, John Crichton films. Or was it Carpenter? It's the Carpenter trilogy. And he's in, I think, two of the three. He's in The Thing and he's in
Ah, the
this movie.
thing. Okay, that's fair. I should have thought about that
Yeah,
too.
I think, who is it? It's Russell, Kurt Russell, maybe.
Kurt Russell, yeah.
Yeah, it's not They Lived though. Tim, it was a good guess, but see, I didn't paint the Chinese thing on because I suck at freehanding. But it's the guy from Big Trouble in Little China.
Ah, okay.
You know what they say. You know what I say. Shut your mouth, Mister Burton. You were not brought upon this earth to get it. Of course, everyone's favorite female actress from that time period, Kim Cattrall. Yeah, I mean, I could see how you could look at him and say that's totally could be Roddy Piper, but no, it's Kirk Douglas as Jack Burton, I believe was his name. Now I did some kit bashing with some old plastic Chaos Warriors I had laying around. So this guy got a Victrix Knight head that's two serpents meeting above, facing each other. Then he got a Victrix Demon Shield and a Reaper Demon Shield and a Reaper big ass hammer. And then I painted his cloak flesh color because I'm going to take my Gundam pen and I'm going to draw random lines and then try to draw stitches so that looks like the human hide cloak he's wearing, is made up of multiple different human pieces, right? So, like the holes in it, I could paint up as actual mouths and like draw a face, use my pens to draw a face around it, so that it's like, oh my God, this guy is literally wearing a cloak made of human skin. And it's like, well, yeah, of course he is. Why wouldn't he? I mean, what are you thinking? Right? Are you
Yeah.
thinking that's a weird thing?
No, that's
Well,
not unexpected if it's like an evil creature. So
I was going to say, well, I've got some news for you, honey child. This is Hyperborea, and
yeah,
shit like that happens.
yeah.
So, if you run into a guy and he is running around wearing a cloak made out of the scalps of every human he's killed in a battle, yeah, you just need to go ahead and accept that. That is a thing that happens. And again, it is because, uh, uh, Hyperborea. He would probably be a cleric of either Apep slash Set slash Yith, or he might be a cleric of Thaumagoraga, who is known for skinning his enemies. So yeah, there's that, right? Jeepers Creepers. Yeah, Jeepers Creepers though, he's more on like the family program. It's like every time a part wears out, you just call someone up and get a new part. That's kind of his deal, right? And if I remember the lore correctly, the Jeepers Creeper guy was actually some kind of Aztec demon or some shit. Or God, something. He had to do with the Aztecs. That is the thing I remember. Again, fan of that movie. Yep. Kind of a fan.
Did you know it was based off of a real person? Loosely?
If you talk about Ed Gaines, you're going to talk about Ed Gaines, aren't you?
I don't remember who that was, but I just remember that it was.
He's the guy that skinned a shit ton of women and started making like furniture and shit out of them.
Oh no, I heard it was somebody else that this was based off of.
And he also
But hey, maybe I'm wrong.
he made a woman suit so that he could dress up as a woman and bang a woman drum and dance around on the full moon. Because obviously he was, where he needed to be mentally. And supposedly all of this happened after his mom passed. His mom passed. He'd lived with his mom literally his whole life until he was like 30 something, maybe 40. And then he just decided, you know what'd be nice? I'm just going to make a woman suit and dance around in it because, I mean, why the F not, right?
That's
Like
weird.
literally.
That's weird and
Yeah.
horrible. I'm fine.
Yeah, that is weird and horrible, but that is what he did. See, originally he didn't really kill people. He just dug up graves and stuff. But then when he started running out of enough fresh corpses to dig up, he started having to make his own. So that's where he crossed over from just being a necromancer to being a serial killer. Is Hyperborea darker than Dark Sun? In every way you can imagine. Yes. Yes. I can tell you definitively the answer to that question is yes. Hyperborea is dark in the way that Conan and Hyboria are dark. It's sword and sandals, and sure, there's room for her heroism, but generally speaking, civilization sucks. And the second you walk outside of civilized lands, it also sucks. And other than maybe one or two deities like Mitra, all the gods suck too. And that's pretty much both Conan and Hyperborea. There are a few good gods players could worship. There really are. There's a few. Like you could worship Hermes, you could worship Apollo, you could worship Boreas, the wind. You could worship Helios, the sun. You could worship Jesus Christ. But outside of that, most of the gods are actively neutral, and a few of the gods are actively evil. And then, if we want to get into the darkness, slavery is common. Racism is common. Like the city of Zimbala, right? The population of Zimbala is basically two people groups, the Scythian / Ixians and the Eskimo, right? All the Eskimo in Zimbala, for the most part, Zimbala are slaves. And then all of the wealthy merchants and everything are the Ixians, right? And some of the slaves worship Yag, who is, the god of cannibalism. And their owners literally do not give an F as long as they get their jobs done. So you have this issue in Zimbala where some of the slaves that are worshippers of Yog, cannibals, will pay tavern keepers money in order to be let into the room of travelers to, like, drag them out in the middle of the desert, sacrifice them to their evil god, and eat them. My players had already actually been there and went through that, but they didn't get ate. They actually kicked the shit out of these dudes when they tried their business. But that's a whole different, that's like, but that is a tale for another time, you know. So yeah, Dark Sun. All Dark Sun has going for it is like leather banana hammocks and edgy Brahm art, which I love. I'm not trying to make fun of Brahm, right? But Hyperborea, 1 year out of every 13 years, it's winter for the whole year. And 1 month out of every 13 months, it's winter for the whole month. And the sun only shines for about an hour a day for the first 3 months after deep winter. And then it starts shining longer and longer until you run into a couple months where the sun never sets. And then it starts getting lesser and lesser like that, right? But the civilizations that are there, some of them are normal, okay civilizations. And some of them are absolute nightmares. Hey, Squirrel Hermit. So, like, there's an island near the edge of Hyperborea, mostly populated with Lemurian and Ixian necromancers, right? And there's actually more dead people on the island than there are living people because this civilization uses the dead to do literally all the manual labor. So, the farming, the building, the whatever, it's all being done by skeletons and zombies, right? So that the actual humans of this place can spend their time trying to become even more powerful sorcerers, warlocks, necros, whatever they're doing, right? So there's entire nation states that are that way. And then, of course, my beloved orcs, who are all half demons. They're not just some random humanoid. They are half demons. They are the offspring of a negapit, which is a demon swine or devil swine. Some of you old school players that played old school basic and advanced D&D will know what I'm talking about. For some reason, they never had the devil swine in like the monster manual. I don't know why, because it's one of the coolest monsters there are, right? Like, in its monster form, it looks like a gigantic 500-pound pig. And then in its human form, it looks like a gigantic, who knows how many 100-pound human. And its deal is it hungers for human flesh. It's cannibal in that, well, it's not cannibal because it's actually a demon, but its whole deal is it loves eating humans, right? However, that doesn't mean it can't reproduce with them either, right? And so the negapits in Hyperborea, at least some of them, reproduce with the Pictish tribes on the western coast, and their offspring are the pig-faced orc, which, like I said, is a half-Pict. And they've pretty much become a real problem for everyone else in that region because, and I've said this multiple times, I know you've heard it, some of you, they have litters, and their typically combat age is around 9 or 10 years old. And they're not stupid. I mean, a lot of the stuff they make is crude, but it's functional. And they do understand warfare. And in addition to that, once the demon and a picked woman has a litter of orcs, those orcs, if any of them are female, can reproduce to create more orcs. Or they can reproduce with Pictish women to create more orcs. So now that the demons got the whole orc bloodline going, it's freaking running amok like a bushfire, right? To the point that you can be in the far eastern side of Hyperborea, which is a huge continent, let me tell you, it's huge. And you can be in the far eastern side of it and still encounter raiding bands of orcs. You know, they know how to build galleons. Well, galleys, not galleons. I mean, the game is very much a sword and sandals level game. Just, you know, FY, if you're wondering like what the technology is, the baseline technology is like Conan. However, there are ancient devices from the Atlanteans, etc., that are literally sci-fi shit, like laser weapons and stuff. So there's, it's a weird world, and that's the whole point of it. It is a weird world where just about anything can and will happen. Okay. So this is kind of a view of the continent from above. So the continent across is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 27, 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. All right. At its narrowest region, it's 36 hexes across, not counting the ocean and everything like that. And each hex is 24 miles. So look at my calculator. Calculator. Do some maths. Because, yeah, I can't do that in my head. So it's easy. It's an easy thing, though. 36 by 24, right? 36 times 24. So at the narrowest point, it's 864 miles across. And then it's probably twice as long. So it's about 1,000+ miles north to south. And that's not counting all of the islands and everything that lie in the ocean off the coast. So you figure your average person on horseback can travel 10 to 15 miles a day without pushing the horses too much. So, yeah, in order for them to cross that, it's going to take them at least 2 or 3 months. And that's assuming there's no terrain issues, which there will be because the whole center of the continent's nothing but gigantic mountains. So, yeah, traveling directly across in any direction is like a real issue. So, most travel in Hyperborea happens along the coasts. It's just easier, you know? Because, yeah, the very center of the continent is Mount Vermithhoen, which is bigger than even the biggest mountain in the Himalayas. And then for like hundreds of miles around, it's nothing but mountains and always frozen and inhabited by monsters that will make you go insane. So, like, here is a typical monster you could find toward the center of the continent on the plateau of Zin, which is within what we would call the Vermithhoen Mountains, the scorpion people. And their whole deal is they like to skin and eat humans because, I mean, why wouldn't they? They're scorpion people. So, eating humans seems like a pretty good thing to them, right? And then on the plateau of Ling, you have the men of Ling. And then you have the Chocho people, who are little gray skinned cannibals. You have the Vermis, They're beastmen, basically. They live up in the mountains and they like to raid the lowlands and murder people. So yeah, I mean, is it darker than Dark Sun? Way dark, way darker. The main difference is Coochie. Hyperborea is what happens when you mix D&D with Call of Cthulhu, um, Robert E. Howard's Conan, and Clark Ashton Smith, his stories. That's what Hyperborea is. So, like, Cthulhu, the god of the Lovecraft stories, is actually a deity that is worshipped in parts of Hyperborea. And so is all of them. All of them. Like one of the guys in my character, the one of the players in my group, his character worships the Sagwa, the giant, fat, corpulent toad sloth thing. Um, and then the assassin in the group worships Mortazon, who is the god of the dead, of death. Um, Now the Viking worships Thor, right? Because she worships Thor and she worships Uller, and Uller is like one of the gods of the berserkers. So since she's a berserker, yeah, that's kind of her dig, her gig. However, in Hyperborea, you are not allowed to worship Odin, Freya, uh, Tyr, any of those gods. Even the worship of Thor could get her in trouble, really, because Amir, who actually lives on a mountain in Vikland, and Uller, they pretty much have canoodled together to exterminate the worship of all the other Norse gods. And people who refuse to give up the other Norse gods get abandoned to this incredibly shitty island, think Iceland, and they're not ever allowed to leave. They kind of just have to stay there. And then the Cimmerian Plateau, of course, is ruled over by Kurgans, Scythians, and various other Russian, steppe tribes. So we're talking before even the Rus showed up, the people who lived there before. And I guess the best place, really, if you were a human from Earth, the place you might actually want to be born, if you got the choice, would probably be somewhere in the Gal Hills and everything, the Gal Hills, because they're all Celts. So if you've ever been like, yeah, I'm a part whatever Celtic and I like the Celtic thing and blah, 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 then that would be the region you want to be born in. The problem, though, is that the Vikings and the Vermi are always raiding those guys. So it's kind of constant warfare, right? Or you could be born in a Roman outpost or a Greek town or city. And I've said this before, and I keep saying it. One of the new storylines that I was reading about is that Romans, for some reason, have started showing up in larger numbers in the current era of Hyperborea. No one's 100% sure why, but it is a thing that is happening. Romans are showing up. And they're all like, huh, right? And of course, the Romans being Romans, they're wanting to,
Conquer and take over everything.
yeah, they're wanting to build a city. They're wanting to maintain their culture. And as Tim said, take over every freaking thing. So the Romans got plans, right? But currently, there's not enough of them to do much more than hold a couple of towns. But yeah.
Yeah, what
And
name?
who knows if the Romans will even continue to exist because only males are coming across. What's up, bro?
Maybe I want to be the Viking raiding and berserking everywhere and taking everything.
That is what my wife plays.
Yeah.
Now, you could also, though, play like a Carolingian Frank, so an early Germanic people. What's weird with the Carolingian Franks, and I didn't write this, Jeff Talanian did, is about 1 in 10 of them that exist in Hyperborea are still very much Christian.
Hmm.
Because when the Carolingians come across the Boreas, as they say, they back on old Earth were already Catholic. And a lot of them gave up their faith and started worshiping old gods, but some of them didn't. So on Hyperborea, if it were your desire, you 100% can play like a knight devoted to the church and Jesus and the whole 9 yards. I mean, which honestly would make kind of a cool paladin, I think. But, I don't know how other people would, but it is in the book, right? If you're a Roman, you could worship Mars, who is way different than Ares, like big time different. But the player character in our current group is a Greek, and he worships Apollo. He's a big fan of the whole Apollo thing. So Friday night at the Apollo, not quite the same thing, but he's kind of doing that. So I'm getting a lot of things built today. That's nice. So another one of my movement trays. Sometimes I put, stuff on them so they can be magnetized. So what I'm looking for is a sprue from the Satyr Brutes. See, the reason I had to use the demon heads on my Satyr Brutes and do that kind of kit bash is because the War Games Atlantic box set of Satyr Brutes only comes with half of the heads as being goat-like, horned, etc., like a satyr. The other half of the heads are like donkeys and horses and stuff like that, which I have to admit is kind of cool, but not exactly what I was looking to make, right? So there is that. Now, this right here, I need to set aside and I need to build these guys. I'll show you the sprues anyway. These are Victrix's new release of the Russ, or I guess more correctly, the Rus. And it comes with a bunch of unarmored warriors, and that comes with a bunch of warriors wearing like padded armor and stuff like that. And then it comes with a couple, a bunch of warriors with like chain or lamellar armor, etc. And they're the Russians because the Rus, for whatever reason, in addition to the round shields other Vikings carried, they also carried square shields. So you can see those square shields there that have like, the iron bolted onto them. Actually, the one looks like a corn symbol, the way, it looks. That's definitely Rus. And for those of you who don't know, the Rus are Vikings that got lost on their way to the 7-Eleven and ended up in Russia. The Victrix kit for the Rus is amazing. Amazing. And like most things Victrix, it has like double the amount of heads than it does bodies, maybe 3 times. So, you know, between the weapon attachments and the multitude of heads, you can build the 40 or 50 figures that you can build with that set, and not a single one of them ever be like any other one. And to me, that's really nice, really nice. So, Squirrel Hermit. All right, Timmy, you're here. Did you want to talk about anything, or what's up?
Well, yeah, I have something cool to talk about. Basically, what
What is
happened in our last games last Saturday.
okay?
This was the Brazilian guys one, where we're playing kind of a, what do you call it, fantasy setting version of what
World of
Warforged.
Darkness, right?
Yeah. Anyway, we got this job to get this box to a guy, and we have a knowledge of how to get into this fortification where there's like a secret passage that could get us in. Well, getting close to the fortifications is the hard part, because if we just walk up there, we're probably going to get spotted and attacked.
Right.
So we decided to try to find like an enemy soldier, like some enemy soldiers' outfits to disguise ourselves.
Classic.
Well, we went to the area where there were possibly some, already dead soldiers. Maybe we could scrounge up there. We couldn't get that, but we did run into a group of 4, which is just enough for our group that we had to fight with.
Right.
I think 1 or 2 of our characters that was with us. Not in the best shape of fighting.
Were you like, is this your robe? A priest's robe?
Anyway, I distracted the
You're like, anyway, I don't get that because I'm 30. It's
yeah.
Conan. When the priest is trying to like hit on him,
Oh
and
boy.
Conan asks if it's his robe, and the priest says, yes, it's all I have. And Conan like knocks his ass out, and he's like, it's all you'll ever need. Anyway, keep going. So
Anyway,
you stole some uniforms.
I had to distract the guards where one of the characters, not the players though, is basically an NPC, stabbed
So did
one
you
of
put
the
like a Bugs Bunny and dress up like a cute chick and like whistle
no,
at him?
no. I basically just went pretended to be hurt to get them to come over here.
No,
And
that's
once
not
they
as cool.
no, but once they got close enough, one of the NPCs stabbed a guy in the back, and the other 2 jumped out and attacked.
Okay.
And I started grappling because, I'm pretty good at that, and I'm thinking we might want to try to keep the blood to a minimum. And
Ali does not like when you waste blood. Hey, Mobius, how you
I'm
doing,
thinking,
Mobius?
we might want to try to keep the cost, the outfits intact as much as possible.
Oh, well, I was just thinking that the ancient Thuggee of India strangled their victims to death because Kali, the goddess they worship, does not like the wasting of blood
Yeah.
because it's what she eats.
Well,
And she is known as the dancer on the burning ground. And they say she gives birth to children every morning and devours them in the evening. Now, you didn't want to know any of that, but now you do. And there's nothing you can do about it.
anyway,
Unless you do drugs and then make yourself forget everything that just happened.
no, I don't do drugs.
There you go.
But
Because a little verse set will make you forget like the last 15 or 20 minutes,
yeah, we
But instead, now you know that in India, back in the day of the British Raj, the cult of Kali did operate, And the British estimate over the course of their run, they probably killed somewhere in the low millions. So, 3, 4 million people. And they were so good at it, they actually had like teams and techniques. Like while one team was infiltrating a group of merchants that they were going to kill, another team would run ahead to the most likely camp spot and dig the
Yeah,
shallow graves.
I'm pretty sure you told me this before.
Yeah. Kalima, Kalima. Yeah. Yeah. So Mobius, I haven't seen you in a while, have I?
Hey,
Well, I haven't
Mobius.
seen me in a while, so it's my fault actually.
Yeah, you haven't been streaming as much as you used to.
Yeah, and I'm going to make a shit ton of 15-minute long videos. I was talking to Steven about this and Cold Iron. I'm going to do like a 15-minute review of every class and subclass in Hyperborea,
Oh, that'd be cool.
ex- explaining why they're like, because I keep going on about how the classes in Hyperborea are way better than AD&D, right? Well, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to actually do content explaining why.
No,
Yeah,
Mobius
same
does
here,
this.
man. I had to go to Panama City, and then we just had to spend way too much money getting our air conditioning shit serviced because when the people who service our AC came over, they noticed it was full of black mold.
We had to take our dog to the vet.
Oh, yeah.
She hurt
See,
herself pretty
we're all
bad.
just life, man. Going to see Spider Man. See, I wish I liked superheroes. I just never have. So
I used to like
I hope you love it,
superheroes.
though.
If
I hope
anything,
you
I
love it.
still like watching the old Spider-Man cartoon.
I just, no. Sorry.
Nope.
I'm just like, don't care.
Justice League.
I mean, and I'm not even trying to like, I'm not making fun of other people because, like I said, I actually wished I could get excited about the comic books the way like all my friends do. You know what I mean?
The cartoons
I
are
would
better.
love it to be able to share that as another hobby, but I can't, It's like even when I wanted to run a game of the new Marvel superhero role-playing game, I still couldn't get into superheroes. I was just like, all right, whatever. Right. Yep. But you show me a big burly manly man in sandals, a loincloth, and a big sword, and I'm there, baby. All the time, every time. I don't know if that sounded as the way it sounded to you as it just sounded to me, but whatever.
Ha! Gay?
Because that just sounded a little gay, didn't it? What do you think, Tim? A little gay?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. But it's just the way it is, man. I can read comics with Conan slaughtering the shit out of shit all day long and be happy as a clam. But you show me a comic book of like, I don't know, unless it's like The Punisher, you know what I mean?
The Punisher, yeah, he's a pretty good one. He was actually in the Spider-Man cartoons, which is kind of cool. Though they had to
Yeah.
tone him down a bit.
Or it's like Lobo, Milk and Cheese. Like, I basically, the comics I'm interested in are all the worst ones. But
Blade,
I love the movie. The comics I thought were lame as shit.
yeah, probably right.
But the movie, oh my God, the movie was great. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. You've obviously seen the movie Blade, right?
No,
No? Tim, Tim, do yourself a favor, brother. And the next time you're hanging out, you ain't got shit better to do. Watch Blade. Actually, watch all of them. Some people have beef with like part 2 and part 3, and okay, fine. They might not be totally wrong, but do it anyway. Watch them anyway. I'm telling you. Fucking Blade, man. Denzel Washington is amazing. Or Denzel, not Denzel. Wesley Snipes, my homeboy from here in Florida. As Blade, amazing. You know? He's just the right amount of smartass and kicking you in the face that you just love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it might be the best vampire movie ever made. Blade. I mean, it is that good. So, yeah, do yourself a huge favor, my man. And the next time you have the opportunity. Yeah, they got Wesley in trouble with the IRS, which is bullshit. That one fucking scumbag up in New York, what's his name, walking in and out of the White House the whole time Obama was president, owing the IRS like millions of dollars. Did Al Sharpton go to jail? Fuck no, he didn't go to jail, right? Wesley Snipes, he's going to jail. I'm calling bullshit on that one right now in front of you, God, and everybody. There's some bullshit there. Why is Al Sharpton allowed to owe the IRS so much money and not have to pay it? And not only not pay it, but like I said, hanging out with the president. Poor Wesley Snipes. I'm going to do the whole thing. I'm going to say it. Wesley Snipes didn't do nothing, right? And there was certainly no reason for him to do actual jail time. That's just sounds to me like Wesley Snipes must have slept with somebody's wife or something. And they just decided they were going after that guy. And that kind of pisses me off because, one, he's a homie. He grew up in Orlando, I believe. And two, he was great as Blade. I mean, you know? So he owed a little tax money. Let him pay it. Fuck it, you know?
Yeah.
Tell him, look, pay some money or you're going to go to jail. If he says, fuck you, then, I mean, okay, fine.
Okay, then
Now you got to go to jail because you was given the warning and you decided no. But if you didn't at least offer him an out, you're a dick. All right. Getting my girls all done up. They're looking badass. Loving it.
that makes me think, what's going to happen next in Bubba's game? Because, well, one person almost died to the ping pong room trap.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that makes me think what's going to happen in Bubba's game. I mean, because one of the people owes the local kingdom a lot of back tax.
That'd be funny too. Ah,
I actually make my players pay taxes.
we do pay taxes too. Well, a lot of taxes too.
Yeah.
We get nickel
When they
and
move
dimed
to a new
everywhere.
kingdom, they get assessed. And depending on the kingdom, it'll be 10 to 15% of net worth. And the problem is, once you're in the kingdom and they've decided that they're going to go ahead and check out your net worth, right? You can't leave. Because if you try to
That's
leave, they're going to arrest you and just take everything now. I mean, you know.
that's fine
And
with
then
me
there's
because
other
10 or
things too.
15% of nothing is still nothing.
Right. But if you roll up in town and you got a bunch of money and shit, yeah, they're taking it.
I'm a pauper.
They're taking a cut of it. You can
I'm
count on
basically
that.
a beggar in this game. No, I used to be.
Yeah, they're getting their share. You can count on that. And I don't do it in Hyperborea because there's no actual kingdoms that are really stable enough to do it. But in the Kaliningrad campaign, Iran, all of the major highways through the empire had toll houses on them, like every 20 miles or so. And you would have to pay like however many coppers per person and per horse and per wagon and everything. And that money was what paid for the patrols up and down the um,
Let's just say this: are there also tax write-offs? Because whenever I lose my
no,
bow, I want some.
no, nope. That's not how it works. That's modern day bullshit. There's no tax write offs in this. It's like, uh, you know, you show up, they go over all of your shit. They literally have a guy whose whole job is just to go over all of your shit and assess how much value you have. And I mean, they're counting the horse, they're counting the freaking all of it. And then when they've determined how much you have in wealth, they will assign you your bill. And that's how much money you got to pay. And, non payment equals prison. Hey, what's up, OGG? So there's that, right? You can go to prison if you don't want to pay. And if you go to prison, they're going to take all your shit anyway, right? Like whatever you have there on hand, they're going to take. They're going to take your horse, your weapons, your armor, all of it. They're taking. And that's because that's what they're going to use as part of your debt that you owe to the kingdom. But you're still going to prison, though, for sure. Don't worry about that. Yeah, you're still going to prison because you tried not to pay. And the one thing that kings cannot tolerate in a high medieval setting is an asshole not doing what they want them to do. Because that shit could spread. You see what I mean? And
Yeah.
next thing you know, you've got all these other people getting big ideas about, uh, you know, that's my mom's wagon. Yeah, they don't care. You're still paying. As a matter of fact, they might actually make you pay taxes on your mom. But yeah, so let's say, Tim, you own a farm, right? They're going to go to the farm. They're going to count every chicken, goat, cow, all the livestock. They're going to figure out the value of it. And then they're going to go ahead and take 5% maybe. And that's how much you got to pay them. Now, the good news is as a farmer, you can pay them in crops and meat. So you don't have to actually pay gold. If they tell you you owe us, 150 gold pieces in taxes, you could easily give them that amount worth of watermelons or whatever the hell you grow, right? So you do got that going for you, right? And of course, citizens like farmers and craftsmen generally are taxed at a much lower rate than adventurers are. Adventurers are going to be taxed at the highest fucking rate. Count on. You want to guess why, Timmy?
All the treasure and loot they usually bring back.
That's it. Because they provide nothing to the civilization in question, the kingdom in question, and they got all the fucking money.
Look, we're pest control. That's what we do.
Right. But I mean, the kingdom's going to function whether you're mugging or not. You see what I mean? It's not going to function if all the farmers decide they're not going to farm anymore.
I know.
So So the farmers are going to get taxed at a lower rate. Adventurers, especially because you're not even citizens, there might even be an extra tax for not being a citizen. Like, oh, you're in the kingdom and you're not a citizen, there's some more taxes.
Yeah, farmers are very important. That's why wars always happened on off seasons where they weren't planting or harvesting.
Exactly. Most kingdoms in our history, including, I think, even to the modern day, are dependent upon the agricultural class. Because no matter how much money you're making on Wall Street, if you can't use it to buy a ham sandwich, you're basically over with. You see what I mean?
Yep.
And something Timmy will love, because this is the kind of shit Timmy loves. That is why farmers were held in such high esteem in feudal Japan.
Yeah.
And merchants were like one of the lowest classes ever, and actors were damn near the lowest class.
They were even lower than the merchants, actually.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, they didn't give a fuck about actors, except they did, but in their class structure, they were considered low.
Yep.
But, and samurai would look down on merchants, except most powerful samurai actually had contracts with merchants to, import and export shit for them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially whenever the guns came in.
Exactly.
Samurai
So,
love their guns.
so that was kind of the deal. It was like merchants are scumbags. Hey, like behind
Hey,
the scenes, though. Hey, you want to work for me, man? And actors are a bunch of liars and they're douchebags, but I'm definitely going to have a troupe of actors at my wedding because,
to entertain.
duh. It'd be considered weird if you didn't. Yeah, but the class considered the best under the samurai class was actually the farmer.
I mean, yeah, the farmer basically had a lot of control. Farmer said, "We're not going anywhere. You're not going to war."
Because you need that rice, baby,
Yep.
or millet, or whatever they grow. Because
Rice. It was
we
mainly
have a
rice.
tendency to think all they did was rice, but they grew a lot of different
They
stuff.
they did grow other things, but I think the main one that they cared about was the rice.
Well, rice is what they base their economy on.
Yep.
But think about this: what is now I'm forgetting the name, but it starts with an S. The noodles made out of
Soba.
soba. Yeah, what's soba made out of?
Yeah, it's definitely not rice. So I probably
Buckwheat.
buckwheat.
Buckwheat. And while they did have a lot of noodles that were, in fact, made out of rice,
Mm,
they had a lot of noodles that weren't.
yeah.
So, yes, there was room for a farmer that wanted to just have a field full of
Buckwheat.
wheat, buckwheat, whatever. There's plenty of room for that guy. He could fit right in. Rice and pork, they do love pork in Japan. That is a fact. They are huge fans of the old porkaroonie. They like themselves some pigs, and I can't blame them. Pigs taste good. You know, it just is what it is. We can sit here and try to argue about it, but we all know that they taste good. Like every part of a pig tastes good. I assume. I've never ate chitlins, but there
There's
are
a lot
people
of
who do.
parts, at least.
Yeah, so
Bacon, ham.
well, you got
Make a
ham and
lot.
chops and
Helps.
all the various roasts and ribs.
Yep.
Really, right? That one kind of sushi or not sushi, I'm sorry. The one kind of ramen that Naruto was always going after.
Ramen.
Ramen, yeah. Naruto, it had barbecued pork in it,
Hmm.
which in Japan just meant grilled on a fire.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, and now you can go to some restaurants because we have one near here, Joy Japan, and they sell actual like traditional ramen.
Oh man, you know what?
And
I should.
one of them on the menu is Naruto style ramen, which
Yeah.
just means it comes with sliced grilled pork.
Huh. You know, I probably should have some soba from the Yamatos here.
Last night I had mostly cabbage and soba noodles with kimchi spice.
Last time I ate there, I had this what they call some kind of bento, but I was hoping that would be like actually in a bento box. Now they just put it in a regular styrofoam box.
You're like, I am angry. Where's my bento box? And they're like, dude, you ordered to go. We're not giving you a box.
And
Get out of here. Like, those boxes are expensive. What are you thinking?
I know. I was thinking maybe they give you it's like a cheap box that looks like a bento at least. So yeah.
I actually, anytime we order Chinese food, I always get Singapore chow mein foon, and that's made with those really thin rice noodles.
Hmm.
But
Now the bento.
really, the reason I order it is because it's curry.
Hmm.
So it's rice noodles, but they're curry,
Now the bento, it was
which
really good though. It came
I'm a
with
huge
like
fan.
steak, brown rice, uh, a couple of like cucumber rolls.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I just didn't really like was the miso soup. It was just, eh,
No,
not my kind of not my kind of soup. Everything else was good.
I think I might wrap my stream up a little early today.
Okay,
I mean, you got shit to do anyway, so
I
whatever.
do.
But
Oh yeah, game tonight. Yeah, and the
but
dinner's almost ready
that'll
too
give me time to actually sit down and write up some bullet points
for
for the
your
actual
videos.
things that I am going to do. So, and I'm going to do them in order. I'm going to start with the fighter and then go to the next one and the next one, next one. Another thing I'm going to do, and this could be whatever, is Jeffrey Talanian. I'm going to mail to him one of my shirts, the James of Hyperborea shirts. I just need to pick a cool one. Well, they're
Yeah,
all pretty freaking cool, but I'm
yeah.
thinking the one where I'm fighting the carnivorous ape. And I might have to send Double D a shirt too, since he sent my brother a couple of shirts
Yeah.
with the Double D symbol on it.
Now,
But
James.
I still razz my brother though because Double D refers to me as his homie, but he doesn't refer to Haas as his homie. And Haas is like, I want Double D to call me his homie. I'm like, no, sorry, bro. You will for always and forever be the little brother, never the homie. Go ahead and say what you're going to say.
Back to food. We're having some fried chicken and potatoes and onions.
Yep, that sounds good. I haven't decided what I'm having yet. All right. Well, we're sitting here and I'm getting ready to wrap it up. I decided to stop building which I got like 20 figures built. And to go ahead and finish a paint job that I should have finished, I don't know, a year ago. So that's what I'm doing with my last couple of minutes is I'm finishing up a paint job I should have done years and years ago. And just FYI, if anyone's wondering, it is a medieval warrior. And the only thing that needed to be done on it was its boots. And maybe I could highlight the face if I was feeling like super whatever about it. I'm not sure I am. So I just need to grab a brown and just do his boots. This guy, I could do all the straps on him too. So there's a little bit more than just the boots. But if I did the boots, he would be ready to rank up, right? Not perfect, but ready. And I could get the other stuff just whenever I felt like it. So yeah, this guy's been sitting on my table for God knows how long, possibly years. And because I haven't busted out a little bit of brown contrast paint, because I've already did all of the really hard parts, really, like the robes and the shield and everything. Okay, this guy must be a Saxon. And I say that because he looks like a Viking, but looking close around his neck, he is wearing a crucifix. So the Saxons did convert very early to Christianity.
Yep.
So there is that. So while I am here messing around with the Saxon, I have decided, got his boots done. I might as well go the extra distance and get the belt too. That way I can rest easy knowing everything that needed done got done. Now, I'm not doing any dry brushes on this guy. He is basically done. Okay, he's got an Aventel underneath his Spangenhelm. I just noticed that. I will do that brown as well to represent he has a leather Aventel underneath his Spangen, which a very popular style of helmet because of how easy it is to make. I used to wear Spangen helm when I fought in SCA. So I'll hold him up and you guys can have a look at what I just knocked out real quick. So here he is, a Saxon warrior. He's got his clothes on, and then, I did a shield with just a simple quartered green yellow color.
Not bad.
And if I do the base, put a little grass on that base, yeah, he's definitely 100% ready to go on a unit tray and fight in battles for his noble lord or chief or whatever.
If I was going to make one of those, I'd have to make them red and white.
Was that the color of the Pilkingtons?
Yeah, and I'd have a certain specific cross to put on the shield.
Mm-hmm. Back when I thought I was Irish, my surname, the symbol is blue with an iron gauntlet on it. And the saying is manus something in Latin. So like iron fist or iron hand, manus Isis or Ison or something. But now I know that I only have the name. I don't actually Paul, yeah, when I was on Shadow's show earlier, I kind of went off on that. I mean, and I mean, I'm getting ready to log here in a couple minutes, but I'll say it again. I have no problem at all with Max, and I would never deign to say who he should or should not have on his show. But I think Grim Jim is an absolute freaking piece of shit. And the fact that he was on the show trying to sell a product for cash money while he was wearing a hammer and sickle with the big red Soviet star promptly on his hat, you know, and then people being like, oh, well, we want to avoid politics. It's like, well, you know, you don't get to show up on the stream wearing Soviet iconography like blatantly front and center and then talk about how you want to avoid politics because I'm afraid the fact that you are wearing that device at all is a political statement. And again, not to miss the point, he's basically on there to promote something he's made because he wants money. And at the whole time though, he's wearing his communist symbols. So if I thought about it, because you know how you always think about stuff after you've said stuff, if I thought about it, I'd asked him like, so, are you giving this thing away for free to all the proletariat? Is that how that's going to work? Like, right? All of you, the droogs get free stuff because, like maybe somebody should go wherever he is and like take his typewriter away so that, we can say that we have seized the means of production. So, yeah. And again, as I said earlier, my dislike for that guy stems from the fact that there was a time when I did like him. And I would point this out. Have you guys ever noticed that you never dislike somebody quite as much as you dislike somebody you used to like? You know? Like if you meet somebody and you never had any sort of like feelings towards them at all, then it's kind of hard to work up a good, proper dislike of that person. And, but if it's somebody that you've went to bat for, you've defended, you've had his back, and then he totally flips and starts being a fucking douche, then I think, and I'm just gonna guess here, I think a big part of the dislike has to do with like a certain feeling of betrayal, right? Because it's like, I thought you were cool, and then you're not cool. I mean, Paul, you'll never know, or maybe you will, because I shouldn't say that. The way he acted during the COVID thing was truly like, you know, and this is something I talked about. It's like these guys who want to come off like they're all punk rock and anarchists or whatever, right? But guess what, guys? I know it's been 10 years or how long, but I remember the way you assholes acted when COVID was a thing. I still remember. I remember when you were telling people that if they didn't wear a mask, they were killing your grandma and shit like this. Yeah, I remember that. I remember how you claimed to be punk, but then as soon as the government told you you weren't allowed to go anywhere or do anything, you buckled under and started just kissing ass. So, okay, hold on a second. Let me find my thingy, my bobby.
I
So
think
yeah,
it
I
happened.
remember all that shit. And Paul, to your point, I have no idea. He's put out a few things, nothing that I know anyone that actually plays. So, and he had a channel where he ran D&D for a bunch of people while they were naked and having sex. That was a thing he did too. Like D&D and porn or some shit. Sorry, Vic. Hold on. I'm looking. I really am.
Don't think I needed to know that one.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I've
So,
never seen it, but he used to advertise it. I mean, that used to be a thing he advertised. And of course, because it's British people, I mean, if you looked up the people who were in it, they were all really ugly. Because I'm sorry, dear British people, you're not pretty people. And so the best bet for you guys is to learn how to fight and be badasses because you're never going to win any beauty contests. That is a fact. There it is. Okay. All right. But yeah, I was aggravated. I was fucking aggravated about it. There he is.
Good as I.
And I don't like that because I am a paid supporter of Legion of Myth. I give them money every month. And as a result, their show constantly shows up on my channel when I'm trying to watch any other thing. And again, I would never tell anyone. I would never tell anyone who they can have on their show. And I'm not doing it right now. If Legion of Myth wants to have Grim Jim on their show every fucking day, they can do it. But
don't expect me to
I'm not.
support it.
I am not watching any of that shit.
Eh,
And I
I'm
would
gonna have to go.
never
It's about time for dinner. I'll see you.
see you. And I would never in a million years buy a single product that guy did. I don't give a shit. If Jeff Delanian hired him to do the newest ship for Hyperborea, I wouldn't buy it. That would just have to be Hyperborean products that I just don't have because I'm not doing it. Okay, Vic apparently bounced off the stream. Let's get him back in here for a minute. Hey, Vic, welcome
There's
back.
two of me now. I don't know how that
Wow.
happens. It'll drop. Who cares?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Oh, Paul came in to get me stirred up on the COVID and Rittenhouse things. I mean, the guy is an absolute moron. His only claim to fame is that one time he hung out with RPG Pundit, right?
Who is?
But then Grim Jim. But RPG Pundit went the more liberal way, and he was like, yeah, I'm not wearing a mask. Fuck that. So Grim threw a fucking fit, excuse my language, geesh, threw a huge fit and quit the show they had all been doing together. They had a show, and it was RPG Pundit, Venger Satanus, and Grim Jim.
Yeah.
And they used to come on like every other Tuesday or some shit. And for the longest time, they were like bros, right?
Mhm.
And that's why I like the show because they F with each other and joke around. And it's kind of like how me and my brother do, when we get on and we start busting balls and shit like that. It was cool. But then he just threw a huge fit and accused people of killing grandmas and just got personal about it with people and like I said, he's one of those morons that thinks being able to make porn is freedom, but being able to own a gun is something you should not be able to do. And it's because those kind of assholes have no idea the difference between something the government allows you to do and actual liberty, right? Liberty is the right to own a firearm and tell the government to F to F itself, right?
Yeah.
Making porno, that's not liberty because the government can take that from you at any time. And there's nothing you can do about it. And I defended his ass on a free speech basis because everybody was trying to cancel him and have him thrown in jail and shit and call him a pro-rapist because of a statement he said that was not even what he said.
Words out of context.
So I defended him. And then as soon as the COVID shit came around, he completely flipped on that free speech shit. Like 100%. It was like, free speech, what the fuck is that? How dare you question our Lord and Savior Fauci? You know? The British medical system says you got to do this, so you better do it. It's like, no. And even Max, to Max's credit, Max has got on his ass and told him he needs to shut it. Because Grimm occasionally would have opinions about American politics. And Max would get on his ass and tell him, hey, shut the F up. No one gives a shit what you think. You know, he is a UB40. He lives in frickin' London. And I don't care what he thinks. Now, for those of you who don't know, a UB40 is a person who is on the dole. That man has been on the dole for as long as I've been on the internet. And that's at least at this point, 20 years. At least. Maybe more. That's what a UB40 is, by the way. It's unemployment benefits form 40. So if you want to receive your unemployment benefits, you got to fill out the UB40. That was kind of the joke of the band Red Red Wine and all that. You know, that they named themselves after a UB40. So, man. See, Paul's good at this shit too. Paul knew. He's like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm getting ready to get offline. I'll go do other stuff, whatever. Paul drops in. So, and I'm like, ring. Immediately, I'm like, I mean, I can only laugh about it. But yeah. The teeth and the ears, yeah. I'll tell you what. Note to self, and I'm not trying to be overly personal. I know that I get on here wearing shitty looking shirts, and half the time my hair is not well coiffed, let's say. But I do take a shower before I come on. You know what I'm saying? That dude looked greasy. The dude looked greasy. And I ain't got the best teeth in the world, so I'm not trying to make fun of him, but at least wash your fucking hair, dude. Come on. You're not a punk ass kid anymore. You're a grown man. And you're online trying to sell a product, but you look like a fucking homeless wizard with your fucking Soviet bullshit. Yeah, that's aggravating.
I see on, I saw it just here a few minutes ago. Fauci's subordinates threw him underneath the bus today about the whole COVID thing. How they were using off-government Gmail accounts to deny the Wuhan lab release.
Look, call me whatever you want to call me. Sometimes in the middle of the night when I'm laying in bed and I'm having weird thoughts like you do, I wonder if the whole idea of COVID was a big lie to get people to take shots that are designed to kill them. And the reason I wonder that is because I know a person who got that shot and died the next day of a freaking pulmonary clot, right? And I started asking myself, was this some kind of huge population control thing? Because, and now this is where we get into the weirdness, right, guys? We already know from the Georgia touchstones or whatever they call it, that there is a group of elites that want to reduce the population of the entire earth down to like something like 500 million or 5 million or whatever it is, right? So what could be a better way to do that than to trick like the whole fucking population into taking some kind of pill or shot that is designed to spike proteins and basically eventually kill your ass, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. What if the whole idea of COVID was, or the COVID shots were to make it where, um, like you couldn't reproduce, right? The rich people who know what's up, they're not taking that shot. They're not taking that fucking shot. But all the poor people, they have to run out immediately and get a shot and then post an Instagram of themselves. You know, I got my shot. Look at me. I'm going to dance now. Yay. And they're too stupid to realize that they've basically just ended their entire bloodline. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying it could, though. And humanity has learned that we're stupid enough
Gullible.
to fucking
Gullible.
believe it.
No, we're gullible.
Not all of us, because guess who's a pureblood? This guy right here. Right? Because I was like, nope, I am not getting that shit. But it did show us that as a species, humanity is dumb enough to buy into some bullshit that would wipe us out. Oh, yeah, I said that too. And that's especially a big problem for China, because the way things are going in China, they are soon going to have a higher population of pensioners than they will workers. At which point, you know, the nation state of China collapses into nothing, because you can't have a country where there's more people drawing retirement than there are people working. That's just the way it is, right? So the idea that the Chinese, you know, my good buddy, and I do consider him a good buddy, Holy Diver used to call the coof the boomer remover. And I think he was 100% right. I mean, I think there's a reason that it specifically wiped out old people. I really do. Now, my father-in-law, he jumped on that train early on and wouldn't visit us and didn't want us to come around because I didn't have my shot. So therefore, I wasn't supposed to ever visit or anything, because he is old and he was afraid of catching it and dying, right? And then he caught it twice, even though he had all the shots and everything. At which point he said, F this shit, and he started coming over and visiting again. Because it took him catching it twice to realize he had been bamboozled. I like that word, bamboozle. Yeah, my father-in-law, who is a salt of the earth, wonderful man, was bamboozled. And as a result, he missed hanging out with me and his daughter for a year. And that's pretty sad, because I do happen to know as a fact that he loves his son-in-law. Like he is a huge fan of his son-in-law, right? I mean, he's got a lot of son-in-laws, but there's one in particular that he's a super fan of, let's just say. And so, yeah, when he finally decided, F all this bullshit, the wife and I were like the first people. He was like, I'm going to visit, you know, because we've been telling him we can't hang out for all this time. And he realized, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a foil hat theory, man. I mean, they call you conspiracy theorists because they want to make you feel like you're a crazy person, right? But too many of these conspiracy theories have become conspiracy facts. So, at this point, it's like, really? So I don't call myself a conspiracy theorist. I refer to myself as a professional noticer, right? I'm a professional noticer. I'm a person who, as a profession, notices shit. And people could say that's a conspiracy theory thing or not, but I mean, just noticing shit, right? And then going back to the douchebag in question, trying to act all punk and shit, but licking the fucking government's boots the second, they tell him to. I mean, right there, whatever crowd he hangs in, like if he were like hanging in my crowd of friends and we were all being punk rocky and shit, and he had pulled that shit, he would have been disowned in 3 seconds. Because it's like you are a fraud. You are a poser. You are a bitch. You don't actually believe anything. You're just putting on a show. And I'm not having that in my group of friends. Right. Just not doing it. I did have a friend who went hardcore into being a coof guy, but then he eventually, Squirrel Hermit, bro, it's funny that you bring up that because 2 of the 3 things you mentioned are facts. The other one is just people being freaking stupid for some reason. But dragons are facts. Every time you go into a museum and you see all those giant bones, those are dragons. Because before the term dinosaur was even invented in the 1700s or 1800s, they were just called dragons, right? Just because you call something a dragon doesn't mean it has to be a hexapedal creature that breathes fire. It just means it's some kind of reptilian thing. It's kind of like if you read Conan, when he fights the forest dragon, right? It's a T-Rex. Conan don't know it's a T-Rex. He thinks it's a forest dragon. And you know what? It is. Because things are whatever you call them. And I'm not sure who woke up one day and decided that, the dragon had to be renamed to the dinosaur, but that guy can kiss my sweaty scrotum. There's no need for it. There was absolutely no scientific need to do that. It's kind of like the assholes who like to say BCE. When I hear someone say BCE, I want to smack them. Because there's no BCE. It's BC. It was BC for 1,000 years. And I'm sorry that you feel the way you do about it, but it will always be BC and AD. Before Christ and Anno Domini or whatever. This before the Common Era and after. Get out of here. There was probably like one guy at the university that had a problem. And everyone else was like, yeah, we'll change that. Just, so Jeff will quit bitching. Well, good job, Jeff. Fucking idiot. So there you go. Now, the flat earth, that's just ridiculous because, the ancient Greeks proved the earth was round back in the time when Egypt was still a powerful empire. We know that. The idea that there were humans on Earth that thought the Earth was flat, that's bullshit. It's like total bullshit. The ancient Greeks knew it was round. Everyone knew it was round. The issue that got Galileo in trouble was he claimed that the Earth rotated around the sun. And prior to that, they believed the sun orbited Earth. He moved to the heliocentric thing, right? And that pissed them all off. But at no point was it ever about whether the Earth was flat or not. That's some other shit some people made up. Now, Hyperborea even isn't flat. It's actually slightly concave. It dips. And no one knows how thick it is. So when you go down in the caves of Hyperborea to Underborea, God only knows how many miles you could go down until you find the bottom of it. No one knows. If you want to talk about flat Earth, I mean, yeah, Hyperborea. But how you doing, Bruce? Yeah, it was like the one dude, whether he was atheist or not, the one dude at the fucking science place had to complain about BC and AD. And everyone else said, well, yeah, we'll just, you know what? I'll tell you what, probably wasn't even atheists, because I don't think a lot of atheists give a shit. It was probably, if I had to guess, a Muslim or a Hindu. Because there's no before Buddha, right? And there's no before Muhammad. So it was probably one of those. In my experience, the majority of not online terminally atheists really don't give a shit. The majority of them are honestly just doing shit. They're doing their own thing. That's my experience. Now, I'm not talking about Thunderfoot and these assholes who've made a career out of going online and trying to troll Christians. But I'm just talking about your average guy that's either doesn't believe or is a lapsed believer. I mean, they got better shit to do with their life than try to change a whole calendar, because of some shit. Hell, these are the same people that still celebrate Christmas. You think they're going to be pissy about BC? Whether they believe it or not, they still put trees up. They still buy the kids presents. So I think what you have in America, especially, is you have believing Christians and then you have cultural Christians. And cultural Christians may not actually believe anything, but they live their lives with the same rituals and holidays and stuff. Yeah, the Muslims didn't exist till the 6th century anyway. And modern rabbinical Judaism didn't exist until the 5th century. And Hasidic Judaism didn't exist until the 16th century. So, yeah, what are we doing over here? I don't know. But this all started out as me being pissy about Grim Jim existing. And the fact that there are still channels that allow him on. And as Paul said, and Paul is 100% correct. And by the way, your last video was pretty good, Paul. I liked it. Why anyone treats Grim Jim special, I have no idea. I mean, Pundit has put out some good books. I own some of Pundit's books. Even Venger, who I actually personally like, and he did invite me to come up to Wisconsin and said he'd put on a barbecue, and we'd hang out, which might seem weird considering. Huh?
I saw that he's going to have VengerCon 6. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, I heard he was thinking about putting an end to that shit.
He was putting an end to it, but his friends talked him into number 6.
Well, you got to remember something about Venger. First off, he ain't getting any younger. Secondly, that dude works outdoors. He is a construction dude. I know a bit about him. I know he used to be a framer. That's not an easy job, especially in Wisconsin. I imagine in Wisconsin it's even a shittier job, right? So Venger really is just a salt-of-the-earth blue-collar guy, despite his weirdness. And he at least has some credentials behind him as far as game stuff goes. And hopefully, hey, by the way, not only did I invite you to my Discord, but I personally posted your Kickstarter, Vic.
Oh Jesus, let's not talk
Myself.
about that right now.
I posted it
I
and
know.
was
Let's
like,
just not talk
check
about it
it out.
because I was doing some editing today. 148 pages.
See, Vic might end up being a person of renown eventually here. Actually, you should be. You run DaveCon.
Well,
I mean, that's
yeah, but
braggable,
yeah,
right?
I'm controversial. I actually speak my voice. I'm not like some people that just shut up right away. I'm just like, no, it's wrong. It's wrong. You know what I mean? I have
So
my opinions.
basically, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say me having Vic on this show is a lot bigger flex than any show having Jim. Because Vic is a lot more important to the fucking community that we all love than Jim ever will be. Jim is just some douche. Vic runs a con where you can go and meet old luminaries of the fucking game and hang out.
Oh, I do more than
Grim
that.
does porn shit.
I do more than that. Shit. I hook up artists with book authors. I hook up, I mean, I all these guys.
Okay, Vic,
Dominic.
now you're just bragging. Now you're just bragging. Come on.
No, I try to expand the community is what I try to do. You know what
That's
I
what
mean?
I just said.
I mean, that's why a lot of guys just come back to DaveCon because it's like a networking event, except for it isn't like Gen Con. They come to say, hey, and then they get to meet all their heroes, or all their people they look up to in the gaming community. So
See,
it's
that'll never happen for me, unfortunately.
why.
Well, my main hero is Alexander of Macedonia,
Oh,
and
okay.
he's been dead for like over 2,000 years. So
Mhm.
I'll never get to meet him. Well, who knows, unless they clone him.
That's if they can
But
find his
yeah,
grave. They think his grave is sunk in the city of Alexandria when it went in during that was it earthquake or whatever it was way back when for in Egypt there. Then they
yeah,
buried him in Alexandria.
yeah. Well, in the big Alexandria, because he named like 100 cities Alexandria.
Yeah.
He wasn't so much the humble man. He
Mhm.
pretty much named everywhere Alexandria that he went. And
I think
then what's his name? I believe it was Emperor Commodus had his grave dug up and wore his armor around.
oh, all I know is that a lot of that was oh yeah, let's not piss off Alexander. Let's just rename our city for him and we'll just capitulate.
Well, yeah, because you know what happened if you pissed him off? He genocided your whole city. He did that to some Greeks because apparently there was a Greek city that had fought for the Persians at some point, like 100 years before he even showed up. Put them all to the sword. Every one of them, because he said that the cowardice and traitorism ran in their blood. Stephen, I went on a rant about Grim. I talked about Vic. I talked about the fact that I'm doing a whole set of videos about the classes of Hyperborea and what they do better than any other D&D style game. We had a big discussion about the geography of Hyperborea. Vlad the Impaler, yeah, no one will ever meet him because when the Orthodox Church killed him, they hid his grave. So, yeah. And they killed him because he agreed to convert to Roman Catholicism in order to marry the Hungarian king's daughter. And the Orthodox people where he lived were like, yeah, no. Because it used to be like that back in those days. You know, like, yeah. Now, we'll not be doing any converting around here. We'll just go ahead and kill you and bury you in a hidden grave somewhere. And that was the end of old Vlad. Poor old Vlad. He did some good work, though. He was a tremendously talented fence builder.
He was a psychological warfare expert.
That really is a fact. You want to talk about a guy who just got it? He got it. He realized what you do when the enemy army is coming and they outnumber you by 1 billion. You do something so terrible that they couldn't even fucking imagine it. And then when you do that thing, you break their will. And it worked. But yeah, he got screwed over though by the Habsburgs and everyone else too. You know, it was a thing because nobles are anything but.
Yeah. If you don't play by the rules, they don't like playing with you.
Right. And back then you had a couple of major dynasties, the Habsburgs being one, and it really was kind of just screwing each other over for like no good reason. Like there were times because I forget the name, I think it's the Marlboroughs of France. There were times that they would literally ally with the Ottoman Turks just because the Ottoman Turks were fighting the Habsburgs. And it's like, you fucking douchebags. But, what are you going to do? They were douchebags.
The whole thing over there, they switched alliances like water at times. You know what I mean? It was like at 1 minute the Russ were kicking the crap out of the Mongols, and then the Russ were with the Mongols, and they switched alliances a lot.
Yep. Well, like one of the things too was like some of it is like stuff I could never forgive. Like World War I, right? The Kaiser of Germany, the Tsar of Russia, and the King of England were first cousins.
Yeah.
And they had spent their entire childhood hanging out with each other, going hunting and fishing, all kinds of shit, right?
Yeah.
That
was victorious.
For the German Kaiser, well, first off, the Tsar invaded Germany. Never should have done it, but he did. And he got his ass whipped by the Germans and ran off. But then the get back was the Kaiser smuggled Lev Bronstein and his fighters and money into Russia to help finance the Communist Revolution. And these are two guys who grew up like brothers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, I can't get that. I cannot understand how you would be that way. I would never be that way. Pinochet? Yeah. Well, we were having a talk the other day. I forget whose channel I was on. And I was telling people, anyone who tries to convince you that Francisco Franco was a bad guy has never actually studied the Spanish Civil War. Francisco Franco was 100% the good guy. He was fighting communists and whatever. And his alliance was the church and the royalists. So, yeah, Franco was the good guy. Now, he did, in the end, Spain is kind of a weird country because when they industrialized, basically everyone moved to the cities. So now Spain's population map looks like a big donut because everyone lives on the coast, and the interior of Spain has like one person per 100 miles or some shit, because I don't know why, but they have that weird issue where, yeah, the interior of Spain, just no one lives there. And see, Portugal, on the other hand, when they went through their thing, they decided, F it, we're just going to keep doing what we've been doing. So they never did that. They just stayed poor. Also, interesting note about Portugal. The reason the language is different is there was a Spanish king that had a severe lisp. So the Spanish people start emulating him and speaking with the lisp. The Portuguese never did. So that's why the Spaniards say si and the Portuguese say sete. The second thing about Portugal is culturally, it might as well be right next door to Serbia. Portugal is more of an Eastern European country than some Eastern European countries. It really is a weird place. It really is. My niece went there, though, and she loved it. She thought it was amazing. You know, fucking giant mountains, and all the cities are nothing but commie blocks. So like if you grew up in St. Petersburg and you visited Portugal, like Lisbon, you'd feel right at home. You'd be like, oh, look, giant, ugly, brutalist, concrete commie blocks. How nice. You know? And a bunch of people just sitting around squatting on the street for some reason, like a bunch of Gopniks, except they speak Portuguese. So yeah, Portugal is the Russia of Western Europe. Somehow. But yeah, that's in case you guys didn't know, that is the language. Yeah, that's how it become. And that is why when you hear Spaniards talk about Barcelona, they don't call it Barcelona. They call it Barcelona. It's Barcelona. Because they have a lisp. What class is the first video? I'm going to do it as they appear in the book. So video number 1 will be the fighter. Yeah. That's there's a couple from Portugal. I watch their videos a lot, and they just talk about like, world events and shit. And I just love them to death. They're just such a cute couple and super nice, or they seem that way. And so my wife and I have been talking about vacationing, and I, of course, wanted to go to St. Petersburg, but probably not going to do that. So my next choice is Greece. She thinks Italy would be nice, or Spain, and maybe we should throw Portugal into the mix.
You know what you need to do, James? And if you two are going to retire, or she's going to semi-retire, or she's got the time, repositionment cruise. You can go from Greece all the way along the coast, like Italy, France, Spain, and then come right back to Florida. You only got one plane ride over there. The rest of the time, you're on a boat. That's what I'm going to do. Fly over, explore for a month, and get on a boat for a 16-day trip back to Florida.
Nice. For the first time ever, I watched My Big Fat Greek Wedding, like part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't really super funny like the first one was. But there was a part of it where Gus, the Greek dad, is talking to some guy. And the guy's like, and he's like, what is that? And the guy's like, I'm Italian. And Gus is like, the Greeks invented Italian. The guy's like, I don't think so. And Gus, oh no, it's true. And they were arguing that because the old man in that show, Gus, is convinced that literally every single thing in the world was invented by the Greeks.
Yeah.
And he even has this game he plays where he's like, give him any word and he will prove to you that it's a Greek word. It's just like this fucking guy. Mirror my tour from 95, Portsmouth to Brest to Arborg to Friedrichshafen to Newcastle to Lisbon. Yeah. Now, I hear if you're wanting to be like a bro that leaves the country and just goes and does other shit, the place to go is Romania. Because apparently it's super cheap and they want you there. They're like, yes, please, move in. And so there's a huge expat community in I think it's what, Sofia? Or no, Sofia I think might be Serbia.
Yeah, that's
Uh, Belgrade, maybe?
Bucharest.
No, I think Belgrade
Bucharest,
is
Romania.
Bucharest. Yeah, I think Belgrade might be Bulgaria or something. But yeah, I've never been to Spain, but I've been to Oklahoma. Right? Forget who sang that song, but I like it. They tell me I was born there, but I really don't remember. It's kind of a funny thing to say, too, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember where I was born. In Oklahoma, not Arizona. What does it matter? You know what I dislike and they need to stop doing? I'm going to complain a little bit about this too before I end up leaving. They need to stop molding female heads where half of the head is shaved. That needs to stop. That was not something that ever happened and until the modern day. And the only people you see walking around with half of their head shaved are not the kind of women you would ever want to talk to. Right? So the fact that I'm going over my sword maidens here and half of the heads got half of their head shaved like they're a bunch of bull dykes from frickin' LA County or some shit kind of bothers me. That's a wasted half of the heads. Like they could have done anything else. They could just gave them hair, just normal hair. And that would have been awesome. That would have been good. But they had to give them this modern hair. And I'm 100% opposed to it. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. And it's not just one company that does that shit either. There's lots of companies that do it. It's just like, come on. I mean, it could be worse. You want to talk about, since I'm kind of in a ranty mood, the new Bretonians for the old world, half of the Bretonian knights are women, or a quarter of them. And it's like, really? Really? These are Bretonian knights from a feudal kingdom. And you're going to argue that you're going to make half of them women. That's the kind of shit that just makes me want to puke. You know, there's no need for that. If you're worried about there being women in your game, it's really easy. You've got the Lady of the Lake. You've got mages and wizards. Tons of people who could represent females in the game. But you don't make them questing knights. That is stupid. Or you do, because, you know, you're Games Workshop and you can do whatever the hell you want, I guess.
Well, here it is, James. Here's what I say. If you want to go down that road and piss away money, hiring people that, well, are just plagiarists as far as I'm concerned, and all they do is convert from AD&D to whatever system that is. Okay, whatever. You know what I mean? But it takes something out of each of those games, especially at WOTC, where they do that shit. So,
Yeah. Well, I am happy to say that my game of choice does not do any of that.
Oh,
And that the guy who makes my game of choice, yeah, he's not into all that stupid shit. My game of choice is about heroism and monsters and going crazy and getting ate by Cthulhu, uh, slavery and trafficking and all the shit. All of it. It's even got some weird body horror because there's a town called Port Greeley,
hmm
which is a couple days boat ride from Comorium. And all the people in Port Greeley have been infected by reproduction with deep ones. So they're all fish people, kind of. Think like Innsmouth.
So like orcs.
Yeah. The thing is that the deep ones, and this comes from Shadow over Innsmouth, the H.P. Lovecraft story, they have this tendency to reproduce with humans. And what will happen is the child will be born looking human, but the older it gets, the more it changes, right? And
Yeah.
then eventually, most of the older children will jump into the ocean once they've hit their whatever, and they'll swim down to the Deep One city and they'll just take up their life as Deep Ones. However, some of them, for some reason, kind of get stuck in the middle. So that's why there's this thing they talk about called the Innsmouth look in the book. Like the people of Innsmouth, they're known for having like wide, kind of starry eyes. And like people say that they rarely notice them blinking. They start, some of them start looking like they don't have necks, like their big fat head is set directly on their shoulders. Or they got rubbery lips, like their lips get all big and rubbery looking. And it's just the deep one blood coming out in them because they've all been infected by it. And so, yeah, that's Port Greeley in Hyperborea. It's not the only place that's been done that way, but and the thing is, what'll happen is the deep one come, and they usually meet a human, and they agree to set up like the esoteric order of Dagon. And then basically, now that they got the human working for them, they go along the idea of, join this new church, the Esoteric Order of Dagon, and you'll receive blessings from the sea. And the deep one who live in the ocean off the coast, they'll make sure that the fishing in that area is really good. Like either by magic or whatever. They'll just make sure there's always lots of fish and whatever there, right? But there's always the but, right?
Yep.
And the but is eventually they're going to start demanding you let them reproduce with your women.
Ugh.
And of course, if you agree to it, then your entire genetic code is basically corrupted beyond repair.
Corrupted.
And you become one of them. Now, there are some people who want to accuse Lovecraft of a slight bit of the El Racismo because they see that story as a warning against mixing races. But I don't think that was actually his point at all. Because, If he wanted to do that, he would have. That's my opinion. It's not like he was super trying to be super slick with what he was trying to say there. You know what I mean? Like if he wanted to say some stuff, he would have said it. Like in his story about Red Hook, New York, which a lot of people claim is super racist. It's really not. It's noticing. Because Lovecraft, when he writes about Red Hook, he remembers when Red Hook had broad thoroughfares and tree lined streets, and all the houses were Georgian or Victorian style houses, etc., right? But then later on, when he goes back, it's basically a slum. And all of the people who live there are no longer the English or Norwegian stock that had lived there. They're Easterners with, darker skin, and they speak a different language. The buildings are all like dilapidated, etc., etc. So he's just pointing out something that you can actually see happening in real time in a lot of places in the modern day, right? That when you allow immigrants from certain places to move into a place, they do change it to be more like wherever they come from and less like uh, where it was. And a lot of people seem to forget that one of his big beefs with that particular thing was when he wrote the story. It was during the time when the communist revolutionaries, especially in New York and that whole area, had bombed a bunch of American congressmen and senators um, and killed some of them. And what's his name took over, Hoover or MacArthur. And one of the first things he did was find a way to deport a communist lady who was the leader of an actual communist cell. And what's crazy about it is she was an American as far as her birthright, but he found a way to deport her ass to Germany, and he did. Even though legally she had been born in America, he had her ass deported to Germany. And
Speaking of deportation,
huh?
speaking of deportation,
Right.
these Somali youth are talking online here in Minnesota about having a shootout at the Minnesota State Fair this year. And I'm like, okay, when's enough going to be enough?
Never. For
When
you guys, never, because you keep electing that fat fucking potato head. As long as you guys keep electing that piece of shit, you get what you deserve.
Oh, you mean Walls?
Yeah.
Governor Timmy?
Yeah.
He's gone after this year.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll find a Somali to take his place.
No, they're trying. Who is it on the? Tomorrow's the tomorrow is the special election for the primaries. So we'll find out who's going up against who. But it's going to be Amy Klobuchar against looks like Michelle Tafoya, the old NBC NFL correspondent. Or no, not her. No, Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell is the front
Mike
runner right now.
Lindell.
The pillow boy.
Yeah. You know what is amazing? For those of you who are too young to know about it, there's this TV show out there you can look up called Coach. And it was done in the 80s.
Yeah, I know.
And it's set in Minnesota.
That was what was the lead actor's name in that? Craig something or other.
Yeah.
I
remember you had the goofy blonde-haired guy.
Yeah. What was it? I can't remember the guy's name.
Yeah, he was in The Stand, though. He played the guy that thought everything was spelled moon. You know, like he'd be like, "My name is John," spelled Moon, because he had some kind of issue, you know. But he was a really good guy, so he got to be on the good guy side. But anyway, if you watch that show, it is like they filmed it in a different state. I mean, Coach was a college football coach, and it was like a small town, Midwest area, kind of, you know. It was like
Minnesota
Christmas
State. It was named,
celebrations and all that shit.
that was the name of the school. It was Minnesota State. It wasn't the University of Minnesota. It was Minnesota State. That's all I
Yep.
remember.
Yep.
Craig
And
Sumner.
then at some point in the 90s, our government thought it'd be a great idea to drop 500,000 Somalis into Minnesota. And Minnesota has been a piece of shit ever since. But hey, Minnesota ain't the only one that gets to suck. They did the same thing to Michigan. So, you know, and now Dearborn might as well be part of freaking Iraq. And the thing I don't understand about any of it is with Minnesota or with Dearborn, these are the people who literally Black Hawk down.
Yep.
So why are they here?
Well, hold it. You know, Ilhan Omar's dad was a communist, a Marxist.
Oh yeah. The other Somaliland, hates her guts because apparently he was a genocidal maniac. And so the government of Somaliland, which is a breakaway part of Somalia, has offered to take Ilhan Omar off of our hands. They want her dad. Yeah. But so we get into a war with a group of people, and then we import them to live here? Why would we do that? That doesn't make sense.
Well,
that
who did
seems
that start
stupid.
underneath? Which president did that start underneath?
Huh? Was that the half cracker that started that?
Clinton is Minnesota.
No. I thought it was a half cracker, Barry Soetoro. Mister, my SSN doesn't check out.
No, he was involved in it, but the Somali War and all that shit, that was Clinton, wasn't it?
Yeah, Clinton did that.
91, 92.
But yeah, Barry did that too. And the thing a lot of people don't talk about is that Minnesota used to be a staunchly red state.
Yeah.
So was Michigan.
They put 80,000 miserable, jobless, polyamorous, very fertile, but yet stupid as fuck invaders with their ugly fucking balding wives in the middle of the fucking Great North Plains. Why? I don't know. But it's a shame we can't fucking tar and feather any politician involved in that and then just boot them out or grind them up for fucking hog feed. Fuck those people.
Yep. Why? Because
we were told. Do you remember what they told us, James? Do you remember what they fucking told us? They said if we go fight them over in the Middle East, we don't have to deal with them over here. Remember that? I remember that.
They brought them over here.
They brought the fucking Muslims over here.
Bruce is freaking out. Calm down, Bruce. I don't want you having a stroke.
I'm not going to have a stroke. I quit smoking.
People have strokes even if they don't smoke, right?
I'm just
high blood pressure.
I'm getting death threats on fucking Instagram because I told one guy, if you don't like America, don't try to change it here because you're going to have a bunch of unhinged veterans coming after your dumbass.
People send you death threats?
Yeah. I'm like,
Damn.
here's my location. You won't find it because I use Cloak, but here's where I'm at. I gave him a fucking pig farm on the other side of
No
town.
one ever threatens to kill me. I feel sad now.
All you got to do is go insult the fact that they can't score a blonde-haired woman on game alone.
I don't know if I want to get involved with all that, but
They can't. Like if you insult one of these stupid fucking miserable H1B piece of shits with no talent but nepotism, they completely lose their shit, and you're like, I guess you're not going home with a blonde girl tonight, are you? With hair like that, oof. The Mercedes is not going to help you, bro. I'm not friendly to third worlders. I don't want them anywhere near me.
I
Here's my problem.
am
Here's my
sitting
problem,
here.
Bruce. Here's
Go
my
ahead,
problem. We should have never allowed the state's government to translate any of the government forms into their language, because they have no incentive then to learn English.
Never. They'll
Absolutely
never
not.
learn it.
Well, that's funny too, because Pat Buchanan spoke at length about that.
Well, he
Oh,
wasn't
there's
wrong, was he?
No,
No.
I
They
remember
have-
he had a
there's
commercial
zero
when he was
incentive.
running for president,
There
and it
is-
was like you try to dial 911, and it made you go through this whole list of languages. And that was one of his things he was running on, was that English be the sole language used in the United States. So, pretty funny.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
man.
no incentive for them to assimilate at all. And I mean, I'm waiting for the veterans to fucking go Starship Troopers.
Well, it's going to have to get a little worse.
Look at that harlot you got there, Bruce.
This is called Rain Shower. It's one of the new Reaper figs.
Oh,
This looks like a chick standing in a blue box.
Yeah, that's basically what it looks like on the website, but it's all gray.
Oh. So she's a chick standing in a gray box.
Yeah.
And I said box. Ha.
I said box. Yeah.
Yeah. Box.
If I'm the man in the box, I am the man in the box.
I'm the man in the box.
I don't know. I
Actually, really
keep
dig that song.
waiting for America to just wake up. Wake up, America. Stop sleepwalking. I go on my Instagram the entire day today, and it's nothing but white veterans, 90%, 95%. Then you got 5% of black vets, but they're all warning about, like, hey guys, have you noticed like problems? And they show Chicago and Dallas, where all these hefty bags are laying out the fucking Persian Air Force, rolling them on the fucking asphalt, stopping traffic, and doing their shitty prayer. I'm like, man, they will never do that in San Antonio, because that'll be the one time where, like, I tell my boss, I gotta go across town and go for the high score.
I saw something, and apparently this is a new thing that's happening in Poland.
Oh, they send them back.
Is
and if not, they put bullets in them.
whenever they try to pray in public, the Polish men run up and just beat the fuck out of them.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And they actually filmed some of it happening. And like the Polish guy ran up and they were calling him a racist. And he was telling them they have a mosque and to go pray in their freaking mosque and to get off the street. And I mean, long story short, they did leave because in Poland, they make up an incredibly small amount of the population. and the Poles are super hardcore about shit.
I love the Poles.
Like, I don't know if you know this or not, but did you know that Poland has a king?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, do you know who it is, though?
Never seen the guy.
Yeah, no one has in 2,000 years. Poland passed a law saying that Jesus Christ was the king of Poland.
Huh.
And they made Roman Catholicism the official language or religion of Poland.
Did you guys see that one they passed recently about what was
Sad
it?
shit in Minnesota, in Massachusetts.
They passed a law that there is no more immigration from through the border of Belarus. Nothing can come across now.
Yeah, Poland.
Poland did that.
Yeah, because the Belarusians were importing a shit ton of North Africans and whatnot, and then busing their asses to the border with Poland. And a Polish soldier, border guard, got killed by one of these assholes with a spear. So the Poles built like however many hundreds of miles of fence and basically was like, yeah, no, we're not doing this shit. And they're not. That's why, like, what's his name? Calls Poland Little Texas or European
Little line
Texas.
crosser. Little European Texas. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, the guy who he always
Little
has all the
line crosser.
airplanes and shit talking.
HLC.
And
You're talking about HLC.
yeah, and my favorite airplane, of course, is Bud,
Buff.
Grandpa,
Buff.
Buff. Yeah,
Buff.
old Buff, Grandpa, the P-52.
So, Bruce, just asking a question.
Go ahead.
Did you finally get your divorce done?
Waiting. Still waiting. The county has my paperwork. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what the
you know what
delay
it
is.
It's called.
What?
I'll tell you what it is, Bruce. You want me to tell
What?
you?
Go ahead.
It's called lazy judges.
Yeah, I understand that.
Lazy everything.
Oh no,
I mean-
in Minnesota here right now, the to get into conciliation court is 7 months. You know why that is? Is because the economy is going downhill, and all these lawyers are fighting for all this money. They're just like, oh well, we'll just go. Here we go. We'll sue everybody for whatever in conciliation court. And so these judges are stacked high and wide on these credit things, and they're just, well, case number 459, come on up, here it is. Do you owe this money? No, we don't. Blah 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 blah. And it's just like, oh my god, some of it's so cut and dry, it's not even funny. But they, I'm sorry, I'm really mad at the court system the way it is, anyways. So.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it myself. I find it to be a gathering of retards that plays 40K or some other game that I cannot stand. Like basically everyone I don't like is Hitler, but these people they're milking
Hold
the
on
goddamn.
a second. Did this guy just take a shot at my beloved 40K?
Absolutely, fucking retarded game.
Get out of here. You know nothing, Bruce.
I know a lot. I've been fucking exposed to that shit since 1993. I can't believe people still play it. What do you use for damage? The D6. What? The D6. What are the rules? Well, the rules fit on these two flaps, but they're kind of dumb. What do you mean they're kind of dumb? Well, some of the armies haven't been updated in over 28 years. What?
Oh, I mean,
Are the armies perfect? No.
That's a
Okay.
little bit of an exaggeration, but only a little bit.
Okay.
Pretty true.
Do we still have the armies from back in 91? Oh, no. All right. Well, I'm looking at Farseer right now. Where are the squats at? Don't say that!
Yeah. My
I
favorite
mean,
is every time that they'd come out with like fantasy, because that was the original game I loved. And it would just be like, yeah, we're not doing anything for Dark Elves.
that
It's like, what? Wait, what?
so
Yeah,
maligned. What do the
Dark
Dark
Elves.
Elves do to the GW offices, to where the GW office does not value a money making venture like Dark Elves? All you've got to do
I
is just
don't know, but in the new Old World game, they've already said that Dark Elves, while you can play them because they give you an army list in like a White Dwarf magazine or some shit, they are not going to be supported. So, I mean,
somebody
what you got is what you got, and you never get
somebody
anything else,
in the past.
which to me is perfectly fine because if there's one thing I hate more than anything, it's them constantly changing the army I play around to do whatever the fuck they're doing. I hate that. I would much rather them ignore my army, like put out a rule set and then ignore it, than to change it every 3 years. Which,
Okay,
unfortunately, if you play 40K, that is your whole life as a Space Marine player.
you're constantly changing. You're constantly trying to figure out what they're going to do next and anticipate it 2 years in. And the
Right.
rule system sucks. You know what's a great system? Frostgrave.
Let's hear
Oh,
it.
I don't want to play that. I want to play space. I want a space. All right, fine. Do Stargrave. Two great
Yeah,
games.
Frostgrave is an amazing system.
Mhm.
I cannot believe that we are at the time that we're at, and Games Workshop is still pushing the I go, you go formula for a war game.
I
It's like
absolutely.
every other good war game doesn't do that. But Games Workshop has games they don't do that. If you ever play Kill Team or Warcry or Age of Sigmar, which I hate out of principle, but honestly, it's not a horrible game. Um, yeah, they have a you go, I go activation where you take turns, right? So shit can just happen. But if you play 40K or the original fantasy game, you move all of your shit, then you take all of your shooting attacks, and then you do all of your melee attacks, and then you do the morale phase,
Am
and
I
then you
playing
hand the dice to
BX?
your opponent, and they do the
That's
same shit right back.
that's what that sounds like. That sounds like a miserable game of BX. No offense to BX. I love BX, but it's also a game that is 50 years old, and we've come out and we've made some fine initiative roles and rules since then. I hate I go, you go, I go, you. I despise that. I I I shit all over that with my system, and it's not my
See,
system. It's
I
actually
am
by
going to
me.
go ahead and be the guy I am.
Okay.
The one thing I love about Initiative and Hyperborea is both sides engaged in the action just roll dice six, and whoever else dice goes in whichever order they want.
I can't. No,
And I
I
actually
like.
asked my players at my table if they wanted to do individual initiative, and they said no.
I can
Nope.
value that if they're setting each other up for teamwork feats or teamwork events. Like, I'm going to shield block that kobold and then swipe him at the leg. You bury the barbarian as he's falling down. You grab his face with your fucking axe blade and hammer it into the concrete. So when he comes back up, he looks like Danny Bonaducci or somebody
Yeah,
else at
usually
the
they just
party.
go in a circle around the table, clockwise
No,
or
no.
counterclockwise. Clockwise.
I sorry, I just
So everything you're saying you hate, that's how we do it.
yeah, I'm
Now,
out.
I played third edition. I played Pathfinder. I know all about individual initiatives and all of that. And
No, you
I
don't.
didn't hate them at all, which is why I offered my group, if they wanted to do it, I would. But my group was like, no, fuck all that. Do you know
I like
why? Because they just want to play the game. They don't want to wait 20 minutes while we all roll initiative and try to figure out who's going when.
now. I
It's
will
just
say my
easier
game
to
is a little long. On
to say, yeah, it's your go.
on Saturday, I ran the last half of the game was a giant combat that exceeded 74 seconds.
Hmm.
And that was 3 hours. They're also so I have that are doing 4th, 5th, 6th level spells. And I have a brand new bard
Right.
that started with us on Saturday. So
See, I can't actually do a lot of
combat.
things. Yeah. I'm listening. Oh, are you done?
Why are you not able to do a lot of things? Why are you not able to do a lot of things? I just want to know.
Hmm?
Go ahead, James. I'm done. Go ahead.
No, I didn't say you couldn't do a lot of things. I said that my group don't want that. They like so we have a guy.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I did say something. You're right. We have a guy, BRC, who does occasionally drop into the chat. And his role in the group, other than being the one that almost dies every combat, is he rolls the initiative die because he's the scout.
Hello,
Okay.
I'm off work.
Oh, you're off work? Cool. Okay. So it's just what we like. Now, what I was saying where I started with I couldn't do is Hyperborea does not give you initiative bonus based on dexterity. There is no initiative bonus in Hyperborea. Therefore, doing individual initiatives is kind of stupid. Because what would be the point when you can just do one initiative and decide the order in which people go? You get what I'm saying? Whereas,
Man,
like in 3.5 and Pathfinder, if you have a very high initiative, you could have like +4 to your initiative. And then if you pick improved initiative, then God, you could have like +8. So you could be the guy that always goes first if that's the guy you want to be. But this game doesn't really give a shit about that.
But I want to have a game where a wizard is able to ascertain a problem, and before the rest of the party possibly sees it, he gets lucky with his initiative, and before the barbarian can get his war axe ready, the wizard has hit one of the bad guys with his magic missile spell, a very basic second level spell in my game, because cantrip's the
Right.
first level, magic missile second, fireball is
Right.
fourth, wish is 10th,
Right.
meteor swarm is 10th. But
Okay.
magic missile goes off 2 times before the barbarian can get his charge and leap attack in.
Okay.
If that makes any sense to you. I want a game
It
where
does.
if somebody's a dagger fighter, they're gonna fucking cause a lot of bleeding on your party or on the opposing side.
Right. Do you know how you do that in Hyperborea?
How's that?
You roll initiative, and when it's the player's time to go, the mage says, "Hey guys, let me go first," and everyone else says, "Okay." And then he
Is
casts his spells.
Hyperborea robust enough to where you can cast 3 magic missiles within 9 seconds or 10 or 12 seconds?
No, because a combat round is 10 seconds.
All right.
So, yeah, you're not doing all this crazy shit. There's Vic
Well,
again.
in my AD&D game, we use the D10 system where we come down from, you add your dex into it, and then you come down from 10. And then, depending on the spell segments of you're saying your spell, let's say you rolled a 9 and you have a 10 because of your adjustment, and it's a 4-second segment spell. Between 10 and 6, you better be in a safe place, because if one of the enemy rolls like a 7 and they hit you, yeah, your spell is disrupted. So you gotta.
That can't happen.
That does
So-
happen. My
Yeah,
party's
in
running.
Hyperborea, before the initiative die are rolled, everyone is supposed to say what they want to do.
Yep.
So if the mage is going to cast a spell, he says he's casting the spell before the initiative is even rolled. And that means if they lose initiative and a monster smacks him in a freaking face, the spell is gone, because there is no concentration. You just lost your spell. So it's
I know
kind of
you
like,
probably. Good.
go ahead.
That's
No,
I got some spells in my grimoire that if you look at them, there's a couple of them in there that would disrupt pretty quickly any opposite spellcaster from doing their work. So
Right.
it's I purposely made some of these spells so that when you're fighting other parties or groups or whatever, let's say you're fighting NPCs from another, or just fighting player characters from another thing, the battle is not one-sided or lopsided. It is, oh shit, we better do something. You know what I mean?
Well, one thing 3rd edition had that was pretty good, and I have to read and double check to see if Hyperborea has it, because it might. And it might just be one of those optional rules I haven't checked out yet, is counterspell. I always kind of like the idea of the counterspell, where you could basically, you see the other guy cast a spell and you make a roll, and if you can determine what spell he's casting, you can burn a spell slot of that level or higher and counter it.
Mhm.
But of course, that costs you your action too. I always thought that, yeah, and I mean, it would be easy as hell to implement into Hyperborea, because the mage would just cast or just roll a die 20 and add his caster level to it
Mhm.
to see if he could, beat a target number, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe have both players cast and add their caster level, and whoever wins, is going to get to do the thing.
Yeah.
Either way, both mages end up losing a spell,
Yeah. And that's
right?
a lot of how was I gonna say this? There needs to be more of that in the game, because I mean, there's going to be mages that, okay, I'm going to throw fireball. I'm going to throw fireball. Well, you know what? 2 fireballs at the same time. Hello.
That's what I'm saying. The first guy who goes first says he's casting fireball, and the guy on the other side makes a roll, determines what's coming, burns a 3rd level slot to cancel the fireball.
Yeah. Or they both do the same spell at the same time.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're right. They can declare during the initiative phase, during declaration, they could both declare they're doing the fireball, but
Well,
let's
I
hope
would
they
just
don't.
allow them to say, I would just say, what are you doing, as in spell or not? That's all I ask. You know what I mean? Because then I'm counting down, and I'm going to say, how many segments till your spell goes off? I'll ask each of them, and then they'll go, okay, mine's 6, mine's 5, and I'm counting down and say, okay, oh, I get to go. And it would be like, okay, is this where your spell goes off, or it's whatever? And if they say, no, my spell goes off at 5 because I rolled a 10, okay, the other player says, I rolled a 9, but mine goes off at 5. Well, both of yours are going off at the same time. Write it down on a piece of paper and give it to me, because I'm going to look at it. And if it's 2 fireball spells at the same time, they're going to cross the same space and go off. It's going to be a brutality that like nobody can believe. You know what I'm saying?
You never cross the streams.
What do you mean?
In Ghostbusters, you never cross the streams.
Oh yeah. Well,
That's something we all know.
Because
Yes.
the reactor pack will literally maybe blow up like a nuke if you cross the streams. And I was just saying that because it seemed fitting for the example you gave. Oddly enough, I haven't had a lot of players even try to cast Fireball, and I know that. Okay, never mind. None of them actually can. So, because the Warlock can't cast 3rd level spells yet.
I'm gonna throw it into this up these.
Yeah, my Warlock.
I've had them say, I'm gonna
the Warlock
my
in
head
the
because I
group.
know at the top it's.
He's not my Warlock. He can't cast 3rd level spells, and the 2 characters that can cast 3rd level spells, one's a Cryomancer, which means no fire spells whatsoever, and the other one is a Witch, which also cannot cast Fireball. So, however, the Witch can cast Exploding Skull, which is as bad as Fireball. Except it's an Exploding Skull. And instead of fire, it kills you you throw the skull, and wherever it hits, it sends out waves of negative energy that literally just rip people apart.
The verbal component should be the distance, if I remember right. Because like every edition of D&D, that's been the verbal component. You point your finger in a direction, kind of like Sophie Cunningham, and then you state the amount of footage it goes, and the small bead fires off your hand. And if it strikes something before then it explodes.
Correct.
But if not, it goes to that spot where you sent it to. Which is why I love running the game.
The AoE spell I have to deal with, the caster has to actually throw a skull. So it's actually a missile attack. They have to throw a skull at a place on the ground. And then if it hits that place on the ground, the skull detonates. Now, the problem with it is it's got like a 25-foot radius, but because of the strength of the thrower, she could only throw it 30 feet. So if she F's up even a little bit, she eats it. She's going to eat it too. So luckily, it's pretty easy to throw things at ground targets. So, like I think at long range, she needs a 12 to hit a ground target. All right. So while I was talking to you guys, I've gotten 4 more of my Baron's War Knights done. Very exciting. That's more than I'll probably ever use in a game.
Never say never, James. Never say never.
True. But Baron's War is really about you play a lesser noble and you've got like your entourage. So most of your army is actually peasants. And your character, of course, is a knight. And then you might have a small handful of other knights. If you're lucky, you have sergeants. And apparently, back in the old days, the French word sergeant didn't mean NCO, it meant professional soldier. So you basically got 3 classes of warrior. You've got knights, sergeants, and levies. And most of your army will probably be levies. And the game takes place during the time of King John. So that's the Barons' War. It's when a lot of the barons rose up and eventually won and forced King John to sign the Magna Carta. That's the whole point of the game. But you can play loyalists too, and you can support the king. Be like, no, you guys are assholes. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I've been on for 3 hours, and I was going to end it at an hour and a half. So
Well,
I
before
stayed on
anybody,
an extra hour and a
before you
half.
leave, don't. For those of you that are seeing all the crap on TV, don't be disheartened. Spain lost its balls for 700 years, and with 200 men in the mountains, they started their Reconquista. So nothing is ever lost.
Yeah, I saw somebody posted something about that on my Discord. Was it you?
Not yet.
About the Spanish Reconquista?
Yeah, I
They
appreciate it.
totally got bushwhacked by the caliphate. And then, yeah, there's a couple guys in like Aragon or some shit decided, yeah, we're getting the shit back. That's where El Cid made his name. The knight El Cid. He was involved in the Reconquista pretty hardcore.
Glad
Yeah,
seeing you
that's
guys.
good. Yeah, it's great seeing you guys. And I will talk with you later.
Okay. Hasta luego.
Yeah.
All right. Bye bye.